the stage is set for India versus New Zealand semi-final one, and to jinx that, Pakistan will have to win by a huge margin or bowl out England for 13 runs if they score a 300-plus target, or Pakistan will have to score 120 runs in 4 overs, which is highly unlikely. So let's consider that India will be playing the Kiwis at the Wankhede Stadium. So what kind of a challenge will this pose to Hitman and his team?
Good morning, Deepak. Like you rightly said, Pakistan is virtually out of it. To put it into a short perspective, if they get England all out for 200, they'll have to score the runs in about 3 overs. So they're virtually out of the competition. But yes, New Zealand are a different kettle of fish. But the problem with New Zealand is that bowling is not very strong. You know, you mentioned Trent Bolt. Yes, he is their key pin. He's the guy who needs to be watched, because with the new ball, he can bring the ball back. And that's not very good news for some of the Indian batsmen. And if he holds the line, he goes towards slips, which also is a challenge. Like we saw yesterday, the Sri Lankans floundered with that when he kept the ball going towards the slips. But he doesn't have too much of support, because Ferguson is not the bowler he was maybe a year ago. He's coming out of injuries. As far as the others are concerned, I mean, we've seen the sort of spin they have. Santner is a good spinner, but whether it is Ravindra or Phillips, I don't think they pose much of a challenge. So I think the problem for New Zealand is their bowling is weak. Unless they get at the Indian top order very quickly, they will be in deep trouble. Earlier, they used to have bowlers like Kugle and Snedden and Larson. In fact, Virat Kohli bowls faster than Larson. So in ideal conditions, there used to be a challenge for India. But in Indian conditions, I don't think any of these Kiwi bowlers, including Bolt, will be too much of a challenge. Bolt may be good for 2 overs, really worrying this Indian batting order.
Vedam, with Bolt aside, we also have Tim Southee coming in for the Kiwis this time. What kind of a threat can Tim Southee pose for the Indian top order?
See, Tim Southee really, his entire thing is on his height and pace, but he's dropped in pace. He's dropped big time in pace. So it's just the height that he's got, which has to give him a lot of bounce. But the problem on Indian pitches is that will not be an asset for him. In fact, he will come on to the bat. So unless the pitch really helps him, I don't see Tim Southee being a threat at all. In fact, we've seen even some of the smaller sides beat the living daylights out of him. So I don't think Tim Southee will be a challenge, especially on Indian pitches and to this crop of Indian batsmen.
2019, old wounds are set to reopen this time around as well. Last time, the Indian top order crumbled, followed by the middle order, and the bowlers could, do very less with the ball, because India as a team, it crumbled in the semi-final one against New Zealand. So this time the lessons have been learned. Can India, redeem their victory from 2019?
Yeah, again, like I said, it depends on the conditions. If you're going to play in England, yes, maybe this New Zealand side would be a top side. But if you're going to play in India on Indian pitches, and I don't think India is going to give them a pitch where they can, enjoy themselves. I think the pitch will be slow, the pitch will be low bounce, and it will really help the Indian bowlers more than the New Zealand bowlers. So all in all, I don't think New Zealand will have a good time. And they realize that. Even if you look at their victories are mostly against, except maybe for England, their victories are mostly against the minnows of international cricket. So in Indian conditions, I think India is king of the walk.